Hey guys, Starlight here. Well, let's dig in, why don't we? Let's just start at the beginning. This is my first review, so I want to stay organized and keep the rambling to a minimum. I'm breaking this down into 3 bases: characters, plot, and theme, the building blocks of any story. Netflix's Anne is based around Anne Shirley. Be sure to spell Anne with an E. Anne is an orphan who is sent to live with Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert in a farm called Green Gables. There was a mix-up though. The Cuthberts wanted a boy, someone to help the old Matthew out with the farm work. At first, Marilla is determined to send the strange orphan girl back, but Matthew is charmed by the imaginative Anne. Long story short, things happen and Anne stays at Green Gables. Now, onto characters. Now, Anne is... how do I say this? She's horrible. She is whiny, self-absorbed, snobby, and seems to hate men. Her motivations are not well defined, and the writer's attempts to make her likable comes across as irritating, and her constantly reminding everyone about how bad her life has been does not invoke pity. It invokes anger, because she's just manipulating people into liking her because she never got to be a child. The main writer of the show is Moira Walley-Beckett, and she does not do a great job. Moira wrote that Marilla bonds with Anne because Anne yells at a dog. Seriously? That's the best you could come up with? Ugh, I just can't stand her. Now Marilla is just about as bad. She switches viewpoints so often it's hard to keep track. She's also really cruel. What kind of person burns a little girl's flowers? Her character was really irritating, and I'll just leave it at that. Matthew, well, he's the only character besides Jerry that I actually enjoy watching. The actor is great. His lines and scenes with Anne are the best parts of the show by far. And his performance almost made me like Anne. So, that's something. Diana Barry is the other person who Anne has a relationship with on the show. Diana is supposed to be Anne's bosom friend, but she really sucks at it. She ditches Anne for the cool kids and never stands up for her when the other girls are picking on her. Last, and possibly least of all, is Gilbert Blythe. Those who read the books know that Anne ends up marrying Gilbert, like 10 years from now. But in the beginning, in fact for several years, Anne can't stand him. In the book, this made sense. Gilbert was older. Her first impression of him was when he teased her and called her Carrots, a name that Anne abhors. She cracks a slate over his head and refuses to acknowledge his existence after that. Though here, Gilbert appears to be the same age as her, and they first meet when he saves her from a bully. He's also the only one in school who's willing to talk to her. Did I mention how Anne's bosom friend Diana didn't do any of those things? Well, apparently, Gilbert is so popular that the cool kids, or should I say the cool girls, forbid Anne from associating with him. And for some reason, Anne is so desperate to gain the approval of these snobby rich girls, despite the fact that they are completely and consistently horrid to her. Gilbert doesn't know any of this, and he tries to befriend the lonely Anne. And apparently for that he deserves a slate to the cheek. Not the top of the head, the cheek. That's gotta hurt. Okay? That is just like, he does not deserve that at all. But then again, he's stupid enough to actually like Anne, so I'm not sure what that says about his personality. Just when I thought Anne couldn't be more irritating, now I understand she's also stupid. I mean, seriously, the only guy in school who wants to be your friend, who doesn't care that you're an orphan, and who respects you for your brain. And you slap him with the slate. I don't even know how to... I don't even know. I just can't. Anne's overall goal in this series, I'd say, is to find where she belongs, which is similar to the books. But how this show goes about showing that is very strange. The pacing is weird, and Anne's smaller goals that she goes after like every episode or so are usually relatively undefined, and how she goes about achieving them is not very smart. She's not very smart with how she tries achieving her goals. This show has an abundance of feminist agendas, and they heavily color the entire series. I don't agree with how they chose to deal with these issues. If you're going to push a point in your story, you have to be very careful, or people will feel like you're preaching to them. And I felt like this show was a long sermon. Now, the themes in this show, other than the feminist ones, are unclear. Except maybe that defying your elders, teachers, and being sexist is the best way to get people to like you. Because that's exactly what Anne does. Yes, Anne is sexist. She gets angry at Jerry, the farmhand, because he's a boy and actually thinks that his life is better than hers. Because he's male. She lives in a large house with people who love her, for some reason, and barely does any work. But the 12-year-old boy who lives in a house with 10 other children and has to work every day just to get by has it better. That's an accurate assumption. Because he's a boy, so he must have it better, right? This show deserves 0 out of 5 stars. And that's exactly what I'm giving it.